What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of exciting news to go over here this week, and the first story here is some very interesting news from Acura again. So just last week we saw the awesome TLX Type S that debuted along with all the other normal TLXs, which are also pretty impressive. And this week we have some unofficial news about Acura thanks to a forum post on AcuraZine. And so it reveals the Acura product roadmap from I guess there was a dealer presentation that was going on, and so it shows the next couple of years. And the biggest news you can see there is the new compact sedan, which will include a Type S version. And so I think if they were going to continue with the ILX name, they would have just spelled it out there like they did with all the other models. And so the fact they don't have that makes me think the ILX name is going away. And so now there's been some new speculation about what new name could take its place. Some people have brought up Integra because everyone would love to see an Integra make a comeback, but I think RSX makes the most sense actually if they're going to take an old name. They could just do a new name as well, but I think RSX fits in with the X names that you have with all the other Acura products, and I think could also give it a sportier kind of vibe with the RSX name. Obviously the RSX was a coupe back whenever those were still around, but I think, they could probably use it on a sedan and not upset too many people, and would be kind of awesome to have a new RSX Type S. And who knows, maybe they could do a coupe version as well, although this specifically just says a sedan. But as far as, what it could end up being, that's a big if, as far as, I don't know. It could be potentially, some people are saying like a, more mature looking Type R, which is certainly possible, but, I don't know how much power still that the Type S version of the TLX is doing. Some people are saying it's close to 400 horsepower for that turbo V6, and that motor probably almost certainly wouldn't end up in this compact sedan. So it's, you pick something from the Honda lineup, like the Type R. You could just do, the motor from the TLX, that has 272 horsepower, and that in something the size of a Civic would be very impressive still, even if it's not quite as bonkers as a Type R. So I could see something like that potentially working its way in, and then the standard RSX or whatever could, have, either the motor from like the Civic Si or, just some other Civic motor, something like that. We'll have to see. All speculation. All we know is there's a new compact sedan coming, and it's not going to be using the ILX name most likely. So all good news there. We'll have to wait and see what ends up showing up. The product roadmap also showed that an MDX and MDX Type S are also coming next, which we were expecting. There's been various leaks of the MDX, and I just had the spy pictures last week of what it looks like as well. So that's going to be coming fairly soon, it sounds like, and otherwise there's not too many surprises there, although it's nice to see that the NSX is planned to continue for several more years here, so that's great. Also, this whole segment, like I said, it keeps heating up. There's been rumors in the past few weeks about the 2021 Lexus IS, and it sounds like we're not going to have much longer to wait for a new IS because Lexus officially already released a teaser here for it, and it shows this full-width taillight, and they say a full reveal is going to be happening on June 9th, which is next Tuesday here. So I'll be talking about that in next week's weekly update, but looks pretty promising. A little rear diffuser there and stuff so far, and looking forward to hearing more about that. Toyota, though, did officially reveal a new special edition of the Corolla for 2021 here called the Special Edition. And so it gives this aggressive ground effects kit to the vehicle and a larger spoiler, and Toyota says it foreshadows even more excitement still to come in the hatchback segment. They're still not admitting to the Corolla idea, but they're just saying hatchback segment, so we'll have to see. They're only making 1,500 of these though, all in supersonic red, and they're going to be available later this summer, but unfortunately only in the SE trim and only with a CVT. You'd think this sportier looking version they would want to make some manuals, but I guess they're going to force everyone to wait for the faster version if you want a manual. But speaking of that faster version though, there's a new report here in Best Car magazine from Japan that claims that the name for this faster Corolla will be Corolla Sport GRMN, and so the GRMN name has been used already overseas for some other vehicles, and so that would be the highest, craziest version, is kind of what that denotes, and could arrive as soon as this fall for some markets, they're saying. Which does make sense since Toyota's officially starting to tease stuff already and build hype. I doubt they'd want to drag that out over several years, so I feel like it could be coming by this fall. I think that kind of makes sense. They also in the report here are saying that it'll get the latest four-wheel drive system that uses an electronically controlled coupling, and they're claiming it's going to offer a manual transmission. So all the Save the Manuals fans, it sounds like you'll have a friend here with Toyota. And so they are agreeing with the other rumors that have been circulating, saying that it'll be getting the GR Yaris's 3-cylinder turbo engine for 268 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque. And so it sounds like Toyota's going to be making the all-wheel drive turbo hatch with a manual that Subaru refuses to make. And so everyone's been waiting on WRX hatch for several years now since it went away, and they refuse, but it sounds like Toyota might have the answer, which is kind of awkward since Toyota and Subaru are working together and Toyota owns part of Subaru. But yeah, so that'll be cool. At least someone's doing it. Another person or another company that might be doing it here, according to Jalopnik, they're recirculating the rumor here about Mazda offering their own WRX hatch substitute with the Mazda 3. And so they're claiming that Mazda's dealer system now shows that there is a turbo variant of the Mazda 3 coming for the 2021 model year here. So in the next couple of months, we should see it. And they're saying it's going to be available for both the sedan and the hatchback, and it would only be offered with all-wheel drive. So if you want the turbo motor, it's all-wheel drive, and it also is only going to be offered with the 6-speed automatic, of course. Cue the womp womp music. But yeah, so that's going to be the same motor most likely as you get in all the other Mazdas with the turbo engine, which means it's 250 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque on premium gas, and should be a lot of help for the Mazda 3 because it did feel a little bit slower now with this heavier version, especially the all-wheel drive versions. And so giving it this extra power should make it feel sportier. But, you know, Mazda seems to be like totally shunning the performance crowd aside from the Miata. They still have the Miata, and that's their redeeming trait. But otherwise, it seems like all the other Mazdas, they just want to go premium and forget it with everything else. So I think this is just to address those who want something to compete with, you know, like a Mercedes GLA or something like that. You know, you have a turbo version. I'm sure this motor will also work its way into the CX-30. Again, if they want to actually compete with those premium brands, which do all offer turbocharged variants, I think that's kind of why they're doing this, not because they're tossing a bone to the Mazda Speed fans, but you know, I think hopefully you could maybe swap in a manual from the normal Mazda 3, maybe toss that in this turbo car or vice versa, put the turbo on the normal engine and kind of make your own manual, 250 horsepower thing from Mazda. We'll have to see, how that would play out in the aftermarket, but we'll hopefully be seeing this relatively soon, and interesting to hear that. BMW has officially revealed the 2021 4 Series and its very controversial grille. And so it's not going anywhere. It is 100% confirmed. It's going to be on this model and probably on several other models here in the future as well. The M440i version looks okay to me, though. It's not too bad. The 430i version, though, is definitely less appealing. That actually, I think, is one of the least attractive BMWs I've seen in a good long while. But anyway, this whole new generation of 4 Series is now 5.2 inches longer on a wheelbase that's 1.6 inches longer as well. It's an inch wider too, and so it's a pretty big, size jump there. But the interior is pretty copy and paste from any other BMW, but it still is nice with the digital gauges and the 12.3-inch infotainment system. But both of those things are optional extras, so you're going to have to put a lot of money into these with options to get them to look that nice still, unfortunately. One thing that is good, thankfully, is that Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are finally standard, and so they're joining Kia and Hyundai and basically every other Econobox that offers it for free, and it's good that BMW is finally joining in. Also, you're going to get standard sunroof, standard blind spot monitoring, and automatic emergency braking, but all the other tech safety stuff is going to be extra. Mechanically, though, the 430i model runs the familiar 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder that does 255 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. It'll be available with either rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and the M440i version is all-wheel drive only and runs the 3-liter inline-six turbo for 382 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. There's no more manual offered anymore either, so it's 8-speed automatic for all the 4 Series here. The M440i also gets a 48-volt mild hybrid setup for an 11 horsepower electric boost, and there's enhanced stop-start that can activate as high as 9 miles per hour whenever you're slowing down. And so prices are going to be starting at $46,595 for that 430i with rear-wheel drive, and then all-wheel drives, I think, about a $2,000 option, and then the M440i xDrive will be starting at $59,495. So I mean, if you want one with a nice interior, you're going to be well into the 60s for one of those. And anyway, they're going to be on sale this October. And if you thought that girl was bold, here's the new M4, which just leaked out thanks to Reddit user Sulky, who posted this image. And obviously it's dark, so you can't make out the details of the grill, but it almost looks like there is no grill. It's like it's just got chicken wire or something there. I think there are some slats to it, so there's going to be a little more dimension than what we probably see in this image. But yeah, the M4 seems to even exaggerate that more, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. It is interesting to say the least. As far as, the versions, we have heard the rumors are, there's going to be a rear-wheel drive version with a manual along with an all-wheel drive auto version. And I believe BMW did actually officially confirm that's the case. It sounds like the manual rear-wheel drive version might be a little bit slower. I think they're saying like maybe 480 horsepower. And then I think you might be able to crest 500 in that all-wheel drive auto version or something like that. But anyway, we don't have any official details. It sounds like, this car looks pretty complete, aside from them forgetting to install the grill. Just kidding. But it looks like it's pretty complete, so I'm thinking that it's probably going to be arriving relatively soon, so hopefully we don't have too much longer to wait for the details on that. But interesting to see that image, and thanks to Sulky for posting that. Hyundai has officially revealed what seems to be a heavily refreshed version of the Santa Fe for the 2021 model year. And so that's just 2 years after the all-new Santa Fe just came out. And so some sources have been saying this is on an all-new platform, but Hyundai officially is still referring to this as the 4th generation. I would think if it was on an all-new platform, they would make it a 5th generation version, but I don't know. It seems like it is actually on a new platform because it now has hybrid components. There's a plug-in hybrid version available in Europe and stuff. But anyway, so this, the side and the back look very close to the previous one. The front end is where you have the biggest overhaul there with this bold new look. And these European photos show the body cladding being painted for most of the images, although there is one where it has a little bit less paint there. So I'm guessing that's kind of what we're going to get here, is something that's a little more rugged looking, since that's what we like here in the States. So we'll have to see how that all shakes out. The old interior, though, was entirely thrown out and replaced with this new one that's very similar to the one in the new Sonata. And you have this kind of bridge. They say it gives you an armchair style seating position there with that. And so that is a huge departure from the previous Santa Fe, which I just reviewed only about a year and a half ago. And like I said, it's kind of crazy that they're already having a new version. We don't have any specifics as far as the American version, though, and what powertrains we'll be getting. I'm guessing it could be carryover with maybe the option of us getting a hybrid version eventually, but in Europe, it'll be available with a hybrid and a plug-in hybrid version, along with gas and diesel options, which is typical for, European vehicles. And anyway, it's going to be arriving here in the States by the end of 2020, so we should have some more details here in the next few months on that. Buick this week has revealed the all-new 2021 Envision, and so it's lower and wider, they say, along with being the first Buick sold in America that's built in China. So that's an interesting thing to note. We'll see how that goes over with Buick buyers. There's no pictures of the interior here for some reason, but they say it's going to have Buick's first 10-inch touchscreen, and will also be the first version of the Envision to have the Avenir trim available, because previously that's been only for like the Enclave and LaCrosse and some other stuff. But anyway, mechanical details are also pretty sparse. All they say is it'll have a 2-liter turbo motor and a 9-speed automatic. And so that 2-liter turbo is probably the same carryover motor you get in the previous Envision, which means you got 252 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, like most 2-liter 4-cylinder engines these days. More details are going to be given closer to its on-sale date, which they're saying is going to be in early next year. So a little bit of a wait for that, but that is a fantastic look, I have to say, for a crossover. That looks really good, and so good to see that. Volkswagen has teased the Arteon shooting brake and Arteon R here this week. And so unfortunately, it sounds like the shooting brake version is only for Europe, so don't get too excited about that one if you're here in the States. But the red car appears to be a refresh for the regular Arteon, and it includes this new light bar that goes almost entirely across the front, a restyled front bumper, and some other stuff there. Volkswagen also says it's going to be getting a completely new cockpit to match its exclusive nature, and the latest modular infotainment matrix system will be integrated. So be curious to see how that looks here. It'll also debut Volkswagen's advanced driver assistance tech that they're calling Travel Assist, and they say that it's designed for long distance journeys and will take over steering, acceleration, and braking. It speeds up to 130 miles per hour, so it's Autobahn ready. And they say it's under control of the driver though still. So I'm not sure if that means that you're going to have to keep your hands on the wheel, but they're saying it does steering as well. So I'm not sure if it'll be truly hands-off driving like Cadillac Super Cruise and if they're going to monitor that. Lots of unknowns, but hopefully we'll have more details on that pretty soon, because they're saying the full debut of the new Arteon will be on June 24th. So interesting to hear that, and hopefully we do get at least the R version. That would be cool. But with how few Arteons they sell, I'd be surprised if they do anything aside from just the refresh here in the States. But interesting to see that. And some other reveal news. Ford has finally put some rough dates on two of their reveals. They're saying, first, the F-150 will be arriving on June 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern time is when they'll be pulling the wraps off the new F-150 finally. As far as the Bronco, they say the debut will be happening in July, but they didn't get specifics still. So we're still left in the dark about when in July we'll see the Bronco, but at least, it's going to happen hopefully sometime in July here. Fingers crossed. Finally have all the details on the Bronco. So that's kind of a bit of a relief. So cool to hear that. There's also some new rumors this week. The first one was circulating earlier this week from allpar.com and Mopar Insiders, which both had a report. And the Allpar report has a reliable source that claimed that Dodge was working on a Challenger ACR to be a final variant before the next-gen Challenger comes in a couple of years. And they're saying it's going to use a bunch of Viper parts and be really track-focused and stuff, and lose a bunch of weight and everything. But according to AutoWeek, a Dodge spokesperson confirmed to them that it's not happening. That's all they said, is simply it's not happening. So I don't know why reliable reporters got wrong information on that, unless Dodge is just trying to keep it under wraps. But Dodge usually is pretty upfront about stuff, and they don't, play games a whole lot. So if they say it's not happening, I kind of believe them, which is unfortunate, but there's so many variants of the Challenger. I don't think anyone's picking a Challenger if they want the lightest, sports car possible. So, I think, it makes sense just to kind of leave the track times for the Shelby and the Camaro to duke out on their own. But anyway, interesting to hear that. And Car Magazine out of the UK this week is claiming that the next-gen BMW M5 is going to be due for the 2024 model year, and will be having a fully electric version. It won't be the only version, but they will be supposedly doing a fully electric M5. They claim it's going to have 750 kilowatts of power, which is about 1,000 brake horsepower. And oddly, they claim it's only going to be good for a 2.9 second 0 to 60. And I say only 2.9 seconds, but with the Model S from Tesla already doing well into the low twos with less power, I'm kind of underwhelmed, even though those are insane numbers. So we'll have to see, but they are also saying it'll do pretty good range, with the European range projected to be 435 miles, which would be pretty impressive. It'll be all-wheel drive, of course, and there will also be a plug-in hybrid version for those of you that do enjoy engine sounds, and that'll combine a twin-turbo V8 with electric motors for about 750 horsepower and 737 pound-feet of torque. And so that'll be, I guess the option to help people out, but that'll still be a full plug-in hybrid. So there will be no way to get a non-electrified M5 for this new next-gen version. And that sounds about right as far as, that's how everyone's going. So not a big surprise there. We'll just have to get used to having a plug for all of our vehicles, but interesting to see that. And some other electric car news though, Audi has officially announced their Project Artemis. And so this is not to be confused with NASA's Artemis mission, which is going to the moon and stuff again. Audi's project is that they're making a highly efficient electric car scheduled to be on the road as early as 2024. So that's a really quick thing to be announcing here in the middle of 2020 and saying it's going to be on roads in 3.5 years or so. So we'll have to see how that pans out for them. I think the whole point of this project is they want to speed up development of stuff and churn out these electric cars a lot quicker. They're also going to be working on autonomous driving technologies and all kinds of stuff. I think it's kind of along the same lines as like Ford's Team Edison, which is doing a lot of innovative things, and it's not just a normal car development program. But interesting to hear that. Also, for some other interesting but kind of vague news, Polestar posted a vague post on Instagram that just says something interesting is happening on the west coast of Sweden. Stay tuned. And and uses the hashtag Koenigsegg x Polestar and shows the Precept concept along with the Gamera from Koenigsegg. And so I don't know what to make of this. Koenigsegg's are plenty fast enough. Maybe they want to electrify stuff and they'll use Volvo's tech to do it. I highly doubt that, since Polestar is going to be exclusively electric and stuff, I doubt that they're going to want to use any kind of Koenigsegg components. So I don't know where that's going to go. I mean, obviously they're both in Sweden, so it makes sense to work together. But yeah, I don't know how that's going to pan out. We'll have to see. And for some other intriguing news, we have a new report here from Automotive News this week. They sat down and interviewed Nissan's COO, and they were talking about future products. There's all the impressive stuff with Nissan that I talked about last week, including the 400Z and all the other new Nissans coming here over the next year or so. But they're talking about Infiniti in this interview here, and they're saying they're going to have a comeback for Infiniti, and they badly need it because all the Infiniti models are pretty dated at this point, and so the quote here by their CEO is, "We will bring back Infiniti as Nissan Plus in terms of product and technology. Infiniti will be great again." Nissan Plus is worrying to me though. I mean, obviously some Infiniti models are Nissan Plus, like the QX60 and the QX80 are, nicer versions of the Pathfinder and Armada. But, some of the other stuff is just Nissans we don't get here in the States. Like, the Q50 is the Skyline over in Japan and stuff like that, which gave it a cooler vibe because it wasn't just like a dressed up Altima. This sounds like they're going to dress up an Altima and call it something else. Like that'll be the new Q50 or something, and that they'll take a Maxima or something. And so, I don't know if they're going to give up on the rear wheel drive stuff and just make everything front wheel drive like the Nissans, or do only all wheel drive. Some others are saying that maybe Infiniti is just going to use all the electric tech from Nissan and just try and be totally electrified and not even bother with the gas stuff from Nissan. So we'll have to see. I mean, all that stuff is a big if, but hopefully it doesn't just turn out to be, a dressed up Altima. That'd be kind of disappointing. But Automotive News suggests that these new Infinitis, whatever they are, they still won't be arriving until roughly 2023, which also kind of gives some legitimacy to the idea of them being just all electric, because that's a pretty long wait for vehicles that are pretty dated already. To have to wait another 2 to 3 years for their replacements means Nissan and, well, especially Infiniti will continue to go downhill over the next couple of years. Aside from, unless there's some amazing thing that happens in Infiniti, otherwise they're just going to keep getting older with these models, and it'll be rough for Infiniti dealers here for the next couple of years, it sounds like. So that's unfortunate, but hopefully they do bring back Infiniti stronger than ever. For some good news though, to end the update here, the Corvette product manager confirmed that as long as there aren't any more unexpected delays here with this year we're in, which is unlike any other year before it. Anyway, they're claiming that they're wanting to build about 20,000 Corvettes for the 2020 model year before the 2021 switchover happens in November. So, Corvette Blogger ran the numbers, and based on the current production speed at the factory and stuff, they claim the only way that they'll be able to get that many built is if they run a second shift at the factory, which they totally can do as long as suppliers can keep up. So that's another one of the unexpected delays. If there's any kind of issue with any supplier stuff, that could stop things. Of course, if there's any extra issues with the virus or anything else going on, that could also present issues here. So fingers crossed they do build that many, but at least they're doing more than the couple thousand that they started out in the first half of this year. It sounds like they're going to come roaring back and build as many as possible. So that should help ease a lot of people that ordered 2020s and were worried about them not getting here. Obviously they're delayed, but at least they'll be able to get one relatively soon, hopefully. And Chevy did also confirm that for the 2021 model year, the price won't go up. I think also because they just want to, make sure that everyone who wants one at 60 grand can get one at that price point here in the next year or two. So that should help alleviate some stress there as well for those who are worried about the price hiking and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, interesting to hear that. And hopefully we'll still see lots of Corvettes on the road here by this fall. It's a fantastic vehicle and I loved reviewing it. But anyway, that's it for all the news this week, guys. One last little thing I want to mention, though, is I want to thank all of you who've been buying merch recently. In the past couple of weeks, there's been a bunch more people buying shirts and hoodies and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know why that has happened, but I appreciate it. And I'm very grateful to all of you who bought merch. You can always check out the merch. There's a link in the description below and also a little shelf here. You can see some of the products there. But there's lots of other products available as well on the Teespring site there. So check it out if you need some new shirts or mugs or whatever here for the summer. Definitely check that out. But anyway, thank you guys once again for watching this weekly update. I hope you continue to stay safe and healthy. Let me know all your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.